If your washing machine is making noise like mine was, then you are in luck. My name is Jerrod. I'm with Yellow Van Handyman, and a couple of years ago I started teaching people how to repair their washing machines when they're having bearing and seal failure problems. And the reason that this repair interests me so much is because the manufacturers don't allow the repair to be done inexpensively. They require you to buy these very expensive parts. They're actually the rear drum assemblies that have the bearings and the seal pressed into them. The problem is that I grew up working with cars and replacing bearings and seals and things in your drums, which is very simple to do. So I didn't understand when I was making the repair, well, why can't I just put my own bearings and find my own seal? Well, the manufacturers don't want to do that for who knows why. I think it's just because they want to make more money. Maybe they think it's because that we're too stupid to be able to know how to put the bearings and seals together. So they make it very difficult. They use proprietary parts so that you can't copy what they're doing and things like that. So it becomes very difficult to make the repair in an inexpensive way. So this is really excellent news for you now, because we've had such great traction, literally tens of thousands of people watching the repair videos that I've done. And we've had lots of requests for other machines. And so now I'm going to show you how to do another machine today, and we're adding a number of different kits to our availability for being able to do this repair. It's a very simple bearing and seal kit. The seals are super difficult to get, and in some cases we have to have them custom made. And so we'll tell you what the bearings are, and we'll sell you the seals and make it as easy as possible for you. Let's jump into it. Let me show you how to make this repair, and then we'll come back and wrap it up. Thanks. Okay, today we're working on a Maytag machine. This is a typical front load machine, just like we always work on. If you have a machine that looks similar to this one, then this video applies to you. Okay, on these machines it's good to start on the back of the machine and just kind of open it up and check things out. The first thing you want to do, and I've already taken it off, is you take 4 screws out and you can pull this rear panel off. And then next there's a retainer here that actually sits up in here, and there's a screw down here that you pull out, and this retains the drain hose that comes through there, which is connected to the pump. And I took this out already because I wanted to show you that it comes out all as one piece, and then I also wanted you to be able to see how you get it out. The pump doesn't actually have any screws on it. There's these round deals on the bottom, and this sits on the bottom of the housing, and you just turn it, you rotate it like that, and it pops up out of there, and then you can feed the whole assembly out without having to take it apart. Okay, so since I have the back panel open, I'm going to show you a couple things here. First of all, if you look down inside this area right here, you'll be able to see that there's a weep hole right inside here. And a lot of times if the seal goes bad, then you can kind of see that there's been water running out of here, and that's an indicator that the seal is bad, and it's an attempt to try to salvage the bearings and to be able to make a repair to the machine before it gets too bad. When you're ready to pull the belt off, just kind of pull it towards you a little bit and rotate this, and don't get your fingers caught in there, and then the belt will just fall right off. So that makes it a little bit easier to get that off. Okay, to remove the front door, you just take these 4 screws off that are right here, and I've already pulled those out. And then there's also another single set of screws that are right back here, and I took those out as well. Okay, we're going to do that on this side as well, and you just want to pull these 2 screws out. And the reason for doing that is that this retains the front cover, so it just pops off like that as soon as you get those screws out. Okay, the next thing we want to do is start loosening the top panel, and that's held on by these brackets here. So we're going to take this screw out, and this top panel, that bracket will come off, and then this top panel comes right up. Okay, before you pull this panel up, we need to open this up, and then there's 4 screws down in here. We're just going to pull these out. Okay, once you have those screws out and you've got these front retainer screws, then you can lift this whole section up, and Maytag's got a pretty cool design where you can actually just lean this back just like that and let it sit there. Okay, what you're going to see here for the next little bit is just sort of a frenzy on taking pieces apart on the front part of this in order to get access to the drum and to the tank. What we're going to start with is removing this front rubber gasket, rubber seal, and that can actually be pulled out of the front. Okay, if you look right down in here, you'll see that this rubber boot comes sticking through the back, and when you pull it out the front, this is actually, these little gray pieces are going to pop through the front, and that's going to allow that front boot to come off. You don't want to remove this spring and this strap. Okay, we moved around to the back of the machine, and what we're doing now is removing the shocks, and I thought I'd switch things up and let Gabe pull a couple of bolts off here so you could kind of see. And it's up underneath here, there's a 13mm bolt that he's taken the nut off of, and there's a flat washer and a rubber spacer that are going to come off of there as well. And then the shock actually comes up out of the inside, so you can kind of see where it's at down in there as it goes through the bottom. I've pulled the other side off already, so you can kind of see that over here. And I've also pulled this wire off. This orange wire was wrapped around it, and then there's some wires in here that I've pulled back and loosened up. So that we're getting ready to pull this assembly out of there. You can see it's kind of floating free now. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is remove the motor. So we're going in the back side here, and you'll see there's a gold colored bolt that we're going to go ahead and loosen. And what you can do, you'll notice when you loosen it, the motor actually drops down like that. And what this is for is when you put the belt on, when you assemble it later, you'll want to set the belt tension using this movement, and then you'll tighten up that bolt to get the proper belt tension. But for now, we're going to go ahead and take this bolt all the way out. Okay, once the mount bolt is loose, you can just push the motor forward, and it'll drop off of the housing, and you can just leave it sitting right here. Okay, we're going to remove the springs that hold the main tank assembly up. The one thing you want to notice when you do that is you want to notice the position of where the spring is hooked. It can be in a front location or a rear location, and this particular one is on the rear. And we are going to go ahead and lift up this drum, and we're going to unhook this spring. So you just unhook both of these front springs, and then the Maytags actually have an assembly on the bottom that allows you to, gives you something to rest it on. And then you can just kind of lean it forward, and we've already removed the counterweight, so it's not extremely heavy. Okay, the main tank assembly is retained by these little metal clips, and all you have to do is go around and pop these off all the way around the assembly in order to get it to come apart. Okay, once you have all the clips off of it, you can just grab this front section and it pops right off. I want to point out that I'm using a lead hammer to do this. If you're not using a lead hammer, you don't have a lead hammer, then you need to put some kind of a spacer in between there so you don't damage the shaft. So we got to pull the snap ring out here that retains the bearing. In order to do that, I just tighten up, pull the snap ring together, and then get a flat screwdriver under it, and it'll pop right out. Now we're looking at the inside. This is actually the seal we're pulling out now that failed and caused the bearings to go bad. So you want to get up underneath the edge of the seal and pull it out just like that. We're going to set the new bearing now, and you want to clean up this surface. I kind of wiped it down, and then I also sprayed a little bit of WD-40 on it just for assembly purposes. Make sure the bearing goes in straight when you're putting it in. If you'll notice, I cut this piece of wood to span right across there. Okay, so I did a little bit of cleaning on this area here just to make sure that the bearing is ready to go back in, and then I'll talk more about this surface here and what I'm going to do with the seal when we put that in. But for right now, let's go ahead and get this bearing set in place, and then we're gonna pound this in to seat it. Okay, I've already put the seal in here. I just kind of set it in place. Now, normally the seal has to be tapped into place similar to how you do the bearing, but just a little more gently. This particular one, I put some clear silicone around the outside of it before I put it in, because there was so much corrosion around here that the water would be able to actually get through the outside of the seal over here. There's no yeah. Okay, next we're going to put the front cap back on the drum assembly, and you just set it on there, and then we're going to replace the clips that go all the way around the outside of it. Okay, I'm going to set the drum assembly back into the housing now. This particular model is really handy because it has the counterweight on the bottom, has a kind of a cushion on it that you can rest it on, and there's nothing inside the housing that it's going to hit either, so it's pretty easy just to kind of lift it up and set it in there. Okay, that was awesome. Wasn't that easy? Now, here's one of the really exciting things about this is I get emails, and we have this chat group that's tied to this, this repair forum here for you to be able to get help. I sometimes communicate on there, and there's literally hundreds of other people who have done this repair who are willing to communicate and answer questions and things like that. Now, additionally, I've done some other videos to show in more detail how to make this repair and how to do some other similar repairs like this. So I think it's really important for us to be able to do things with our hands instead of just having other people do it for us. And so it's cool that you'll be able to do this. And then, of course, you're going to be able to save a lot of money. And it's so exciting for me to get all the emails and feedback that I get either through the chat group that we have set up or whatever, of people who actually ventured into making this repair because they watched the video and they realized that they actually could do it. So go for it, do it. I know you can.